All right, this is Mike Marley. I'm with Marley Labs, and this is innovation, which is out of the laboratory. What you see on Pandora's box here is a channel which contains quite a few videos. Now, if you notice, there are some videos. You might want to click on View All, so that you can see all of the videos listed here. You're going to see a bunch of maps with lines on them, and you're going to see some other videos with some hand tools. Looks like some helmets and some maps, and looks like some caves are dug, and me walking around with a helmet on. Well, you might be concerned. Well, what exactly is it that you're looking at when you see this? Well, the maps that you see there, those are actually lines in the ground, and what's going on is someone's using a directional drill or a trencher machine from those locations, and they drill in one direction. They take the drill rod out, and then they drill in another direction, and then they pull the drill rod out, and then they drill in another direction from the same spot. And what I'm doing is walking around and I'm locating those lines in the ground. And what I've done is developed a method to locate the lines in the ground using the hand tool, and then what I do is play connect the dots, and it helps me find a drill site, and that's the point of insertion for the directional drill or for the trencher machines. Now, in some nations like overseas, perhaps in the European Union or the Middle East, these are typically spider holes, and that means that there's radio equipment inside of these, and it's usually covered with plywood. There's a radio in it, maybe a bunch of guns, and then there's some radio lines drilled out under all the houses. So if you stood in your backyard and drilled under each back door that you could see from your back door, it would look like a spider web. That's why I call it Spider Hunter, because once you find the lines, it looks like a spider web, or sometimes they look like Wolverine claws. So when you're looking at these maps, just keep in mind that these are the actual locations for lines underground. If you pick up the hand tool and you go out and you search for yourself, you're going to find these lines in the same location. And some of the videos I do a markup, and that means I try and explain what I'm seeing in my mind, and I try and draw it on the ground sometimes, and then I come back and I'll draw it out in Photoshop, and then I'll attach it to the photo series. So when you look at some of the other series, if you look at the Annews Network, and you can find that at marleylabs.com, that actually goes through a series of other discoveries as well. And for example, Ormond Beach, all of the polar stations, the voting stations, were drilled out. That means somebody literally went out with the drill machine and drilled all these places out. Now, how exactly is it identified? You have to use the hand tool, and once you use the hand tool, you're able to identify the drill site where those lines were inserted. So as you're watching these videos on Pandora's box, just keep in mind that the maps that are shown there are actual line locations. And what these guys did was from their backyard, and some of these videos are for elementary schools and churches, or for example, Walid Al-Shari apartment complex, one of the 9/11 hijackers. One of the spider holes is actually behind a retaining wall on the apartment complex across the street. And what they did was they used a directional drill and they drilled under that apartment complex. I'm not calling those guys spiders. You know what I mean? What I did is I went out there with a hand tool and I made a map. And the map says that this is a spider web shape drilled under that apartment complex. And there's actually 2 locations there. So what you're going to see is there's a series of videos on here teaching people how to find those the lines, how to use the hand tool to identify the lines. And then what you want to do, just to give a quick overview of it, you want to use the hand tool in a community map, and you won't see me do a lot of that, but you do see me produce the maps. Every time the hand tool indicates something underfoot, you make a mark on the map. And then you walk a little more, make another mark on the map. Turn right, turn left, walk backwards, left or right. It doesn't matter which way you walk, turn, or move, the rods are still going to work. So all you do is keep making marks on your map. Now, when you're satisfied that your community map has enough marks on it, what you want to do is go play connect the dots. And once you play connect the dots, you're going to identify the drill site. You're going to find the point of insertion for that bore path weapon. So every time you guys look into this and you see a map like this is an area I've actually walked. And what I do is include how the rods work. I include how the hand tool works, and I've got a series of training videos also. So if your community has any strange symptoms or any things that really can't be explained, or some symptoms, etc., you really should look into it and maybe try and do a spider hunt. It only takes about 10 or 15 minutes to do a perimeter check, and a clean facility will get no hits on that rod. I mean, you'll see in video after video, I walk around cable pedestals, I walk around power pedestals, I walk around telephone pedestals. The rods don't work. It's properly shielded wiring, it's in the ground properly, it's properly rated, code enforcement approved, NEC approved. Those rods aren't going to work work on those lines. What they do work on is improperly on purpose wiring, meaning that there is a surface permeable field designed to bother the occupants above the ground. So when you guys are looking at this, don't think, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, wow, look, this guy drew a bunch of lines to a community. Well, you know, the next step of this is to watch it, and what you're seeing me do is use the hand tool, and if you could picture in your mind me walking that community, what I've done is build the map that I'm showing you for the first slide of each of these videos. So if you have any questions, you can contact me at Marley Labs. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And there's also some other, there's called a trencher detection manual, which I'm for spider operations, which I'm building now. And I call it spider operations again because once you walk a community and you understand that they're using a single drill site to target each of the houses in that area, you realize that it looks like a spider web. You know, it looks like a Wolverine claw or some other pattern shape. So I call it Spider Hunter because the dominant shape is like a spider web. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, just get back to me.